It's June 12, 2025. Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787, a Dreamliner, takes off from Ahmedabad airport with its arrival location as London Gatwick. But as it takes off, it crashes. Out of the 242 people on board, 241 die and one person miraculously escapes. To add more problems, the flight goes and crashes into a hostel of the medical college situated there, and still the casualties there are unknown. Ever since this news has come out, there have been thousands of theories and putting fear in the minds of people. Is flying even safe? Is Air India should be held accountable? And this happened, that happened. In this video, let us break down what are the various theories which could have brought down this flight, and what are the points for and against it, and what are the other conspiracy theories against this, and lastly, what are the meaning of Mayday and the black box. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Everything with Dr. James. Today we'll be dealing with the aviation disaster of Air India Flight 171. Air India Flight 171 took off on June 12, 1:38 pm. Immediately after takeoff, the pilot said, "Mayday, no power, no thrust, losing lift." And by the time the air control could reply to them, they crashed, killing 241 passengers of the 242 people on board. Luckily, there was one person who survived the full crash. He was seated in 11A near the emergency exit. As the flight was descending in an emergency, he escaped. Now coming to what caused the crash. Now there are three theories to it. Now as we can see in this Mayday message, the pilot says no power, no thrust, losing lift. Means there could have been a bilateral engine failure. But how could this bilateral engine failure occur? Either it could be hit by birds. When birds hit these engines, what will happen is these engines will lose their function and the flight can go down. But many crash videos we can see there were no birds present in and around that area. So most probably that is not the reason.
As we can see in this video, the flight slowly losing its thrust and losing lift and slowly crash landing into the neighborhood area.
Or it could have been a single engine failure. But what flight was used here was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which is designed in such a way that even if one engine is working, it will be enough to come and land back. So mostly this bilateral engine failure, even if it had happened, it could have been to another reason. Another theory which they say that is that this engine failure could have happened due to fuel contamination. But if there was fuel contamination causing bilateral engine failure, during takeoff only the flight would have known it and they would have not have taken off only. This theory is saying that the flaps in the wings of the flight were not deployed properly. So what are these flaps? So these flaps are situated in the wings of the aircraft, which help to shorten the runway and also make the aircraft lighter so that they lift off and give an absolute lift for the aircraft to go. So if these flaps were not deployed properly, then immediately after takeoff the proper lift wouldn't have been got and the flight would have crashed. But this theory can be refuted because nowadays in aircrafts we don't have manual checklists, we have electronic checklists where the machine only first checks that if all these are working or deployed during runway. While taxiing, if these flaps are not deployed, the flight will put a big red signal and won't take off only. So this theory also most probably is not the cause of this crash. Now the third theory, which is actually unacceptable, and they are dragging the pilot's name through the mud without any proper proof. So what this theory says is, as we can see in these crash videos, that when the flight was crashing, the landing gear was not taken up. So what they are saying is, immediately after taking off, instead of pulling the landing gear wheels up, they pulled the flap lever up, and because of that the flight crashed. Come on guys, the pilots in that had a combined training experience of more than 10,000 hours, and these errors wouldn't have happened, or even it had happened. Please let's wait until what the black box tells us, and then we'll come to a conclusion. Why jump into theories like this? So what is a black box? The word black box is actually a misnomer, that the box is not black in color. It is actually orange or yellow in color, so that we can easily detect it if there is any crash. So these black boxes have two components. One is the flight data recorder and second is the cockpit voice recorder. This flight data recorder records all the barometric measurements, the flight path, whereas the cockpit voice recorder records what all is spoken in the pilot's cabin. This black box got its name because initial days this black box had the wirings inside which were black in color. Because of that, and also in flight crashes, these boxes appear charred and black, so they got its name. Now coming to the second thing, the pilot said Mayday. So what do we mean by this Mayday? So the Mayday word comes from the French word M'aider, which means help me in English. So this has been in place ever since 1923, which is equivalent to SOS signal and all that, and it has made as an official signal for aircraft, saying that it is an absolute emergency. So if there is any absolute life threatening emergency, the pilot has to say Mayday thrice, so that any air control operator will make sure that the help is provided at the right time. There are some theories which say that this is a sabotage also, but without proof we cannot speak about it. Another conspiracy theory is the design flaw of Boeing. To look into a short history of design flaws in Boeing, the Boeing 737 had two fatal crashes which caused all Boeing 737s to be grounded in 2019, and Boeing had to pay an hefty fine of around $2.5 billion. Now coming to the 787, there have been no major incidents of this 787 ever since its induction, except in 2013 where 50 Dreamliners were grounded because of some battery problems. This is the first major crash in 787 history, but I would like to say something about a whistleblower by the name Sam Salipur. So he gave the conspiracy theory that there are some structural problems in Boeing 787 which can cause some mid-air problems when the Boeing 787 is flying, but it has just launched an investigation and it has not yet been concluded. Also, there is allegation in Boeing that they are getting cheap metallic parts from an Italian company, because of which these Boeing flights are unsafe. So whatever may be the reason, the lives lost cannot be taken back, and that life is very uncertain, and we need to enjoy every moment because we don't know what is going to happen next. My prayers are for all the family members who have lost their loved ones. May their souls rest in peace.